Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Safari Pedal Show. I'm your host, Abby. If this is your first time here, welcome to the Crazy Wild Safari Podcast Zoo Thing Crazy Bandwagon. It's great to have y'all here. Today is a very exciting day here in the Safari Pedals Podcast Ether World thing because Grammy Award-winning engineer Dacota G is going to be on the show. Dacota is going to be dropping, to start, 3 pieces of advice or things that he wished he had known in the beginning of his audio journey. And then we are going to jump to 3 pieces of advice for people who are just starting out and getting their audio bandwagon on. And I feel like there's not much more that I can add to this intro. So, please give a very warm Safari welcome to Dacota G. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate you having me, Abby. It's definitely a long time coming.
Absolutely. I'm super pumped to have you on. Thank you so much for your time. Before we dive into today's episode, let's start with who you are, what you do, and we'll take it from there.
My name's Dacota G. Friselli. I've been a mixing engineer for the past 10 years. Yeah, I've had the privilege to be a part of a lot of great music. I've had a lot of really talented people trust me with their art and trust me to not mess their art up. So that's the abbreviated background.
Diving into today's episode, I titled the episode The Big Three because I thought it would be, they have like the big 3 rappers. I tried to do something funny. We'll see if it catches on.
Okay.
So I'd love to start like this. The big 3 pieces of advice or things or anything that you wish someone had told you or you had known when you had started out in the audio world. And then if we can jump to 3 pieces of advice or anything like that that you'd want to pass on to the Safari world.
Yeah, for sure. These might combine here. So I'll try to differentiate best I can. But the best advice I have really is just like balance. Like balance should be, it should be important for anybody who's pouring into any type of craft, especially if you're in audio engineering or production or, you're the artist. Like you just got to remember you got to have balance because too much of one thing is never good. It doesn't matter what it is because what happens, for myself as an audio engineer, you pour so much into your work and being available and, just being in the studio all the time, being ready, being available for opportunities, that like you can lose sight of things that matter, that are important to you, like your social life, like your family life, like your significant other, whatever, other things you have going on outside of music. You got to remember to keep that balance because you'll get to the point where you're basically pouring everything into music and you have this time where you have open space and you're like, what is going on with my life? Like you have time to reflect, right? And that's that point where like you're like, I've told so many friends that like, sorry, I can't hang out, or I've distanced myself from so many people that like you find yourself so isolated in this world that you've created. It's not always full, right? It's like for the moment it feels like the best thing. It feels like the best thing, right? But when you look at the wide scope of things, you don't have any balance, and that can really affect who you are in the studio.
Yeah, and that's such a great like concept and idea to touch on. Like, did finding balance between music and all other aspects of your life, was that like a long process in your audio journey, or was it something that you kind of approached like, if this is kind of like what the industry demands of me to be in it, like I need to go in with that mindset?
In the beginning, I was just so set on, being the best, being the most, available and accessible intern that I could be, right? Like just trying to be value to any and everybody in the studio. That was my whole goal, everything. And then from there it becomes, how can you be the best assistant, right? And then engineer, you're in the seat. But like for me, it got to a point where once I was engineering, I was realizing like I'm spending all of my time here and I love it, but when I have a gap and I have time where I can reflect on my, life at that point, I have a void. I'm missing things. And for me, that happened, I would say like the peak of like my recording career, that's when it happened. Like I was very successful as a recording engineer, but in like my personal life, I was just like trying to keep it together. I was trying to keep relationships together, trying to, fulfill myself outside of the studio.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of like things to balance. Going back to what you said on in the beginning about balance, I'm sure.
For sure, yeah, absolutely. And time goes so fast when you get in. As soon as you step in that room and you step within those walls, it's like time it flies by. Like you get there and next thing you know, you've been there for 12 hours.
I especially love that like you kicked off with this thought, because I was having a conversation before and it ties into this about social media and how like, especially being internet people, like the world is so full of like illusion. So saying like you can like outwardly have a successful career, but like if you're not consciously putting in energy to fill other parts of yourself, like that's all missing.
Yep.
And like you don't always see that on the outside.
It's very true. And that's the, social media has got to be taken with a grain of salt, because the way I like to look at it is like it's like your broadcast network. You get to choose what you broadcast to people. You know what I mean? And so you're able to control the narrative. People aren't seeing every last aspect of your life. They get to see the highlights, but they're not seeing like what it took to get to that point, or, the lows that you go through before you have these high point successful moments. It's like, that's the reality of it. But you just have to view it in that way, because nobody's perfect. Nobody has this perfect, existence. So you have to, take everything with a grain of salt.
Super important. The more like I see like social media unfolding, it just like takes over you if you like don't stop it from taking over. So touch some grass, get outside, go buy an iced coffee. Life will be good.
That's great advice right there.
Yeah.
You grab a great iced coffee and you sit in the grass for a little bit. You're gonna be.
I'm a philosopher on the side. Yeah. It's my side gig. I give unsolicited advice on the internet. My side gig, yes.
Especially for people who are audio engineers. Forget everything you know. Start with a blank slate, right? Don't be a know-it-all. Like, you gotta be a sponge, right? It's more important to use your ears than to use your mouth. Like, you need to learn from the people that have come before you, and especially say you're an intern, which is a lot of people's journey, right? They go to school, they become an intern, or they get they get lucky to just go straight into interning, and they have that they get to kind of bypass the school part, which sometimes is great. Like, sometimes school can make you feel like you know more than you do. But the biggest thing is really, just to open your ears and be a sponge, and also just provide value wherever you can, and just know that, whatever you think this other person, especially the engineer, or the clients that are going to be coming in, they probably know a lot better than a better way to do things than you do. So make sure you open your ears and don't be thick-headed.
Yes. And funny that you say that, because out of all the pieces of advice given on the show, all the engineers that really do this full time, like their biggest kind of either comment or piece of advice for up and coming engineers has been like, be nice and just like don't be a know-it-all. So I'm like, this must be a prevalent issue in the music world.
That's absolutely, yeah. I think that's definitely one of the golden rules, the unspoken golden rules, yes. Should I say? It's definitely it's good that I'm glad that other people are saying it, because I know when I came into the music industry and I had my internship and everything, like there weren't resources like there are now. And so you're really going into it not knowing what to expect at all. Like, especially for myself, like I came from a situation where I'm from Rhode Island. We don't really have a big music scene, and we definitely don't have A-list, musicians coming in and out of the studios here. So like it's a complete 360. Like the very first day of my internship, this is when it really felt real to me. So it was I think it was a session for The Dream. He wasn't there yet, and I had went out for a food run for the engineer, and I get back and I've got like Starbucks and some like morning snacks, and the person who opens the door for me is T.I. And to that point, like, this is the first day of my internship. I never met any famous musicians, really. Like, never. I didn't really understand the whole situation. Like, these are the people that I'm going to be rubbing shoulders with, and from that point on, it was just like, it becomes natural. Like, you just learn how to exist with other people. Like, you just treat everyone as a person, and that's also a big nugget. Like, treat everyone just as you would anyone else, in the sense of, like, you can't fan out. You can't, if you want to work in this industry, if you're successful, these are the people that you're going to be providing value to.
You've like dropped like so many like great pieces of advice and nuggets. I'm definitely going to be taking these things and applying them. So I really appreciate you sharing it, first and foremost, like such valuable info.
Hey, my pleasure. Honestly, I'm a big believer in like pushing information forward. The reason why we all got to where we're at is from the people that came before us, so I hope that my journey and my experience can help the next generation. And if I have the key to whatever you need, like, I hope that I'm able to provide that to you.
To sum up everything that we spoke about, I always love to ask our guests to either drop, it can be a piece of advice or really anything you'd like to freestyle to the amazing Studio Animal viewers watching. So is there anything else that you'd like to drop to the greater Safari universe?
All right, anything. So I'll say, as a mixing engineer, right, one of the most important responsibilities you have is to respect what the artist and the producer have created, right? Don't feel like you need to change everything and make it your own, because at the end of the day, it's their art, right? You're just getting the opportunity to be a part of it. So you want to serve them instead of just step on their toes and, try and reinvent the wheel. Like, preserve what they've created and try to enhance things that you feel like need to be further highlighted.
I love that. Super great piece of advice. Guys, I've been taking lots of notes this episode. I don't know about you, but grab your notepads for this one.
Class is in session.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for hopping on and dropping all this wisdom. I really learned a lot, and I'm really pumped to go forward and apply these things. So thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Anytime. I'm happy to be here.
I got a vendetta. Oh, now they call me, I seen them. All of those times getting severed. I told them all I can let up. They get not tired of me.